Hi, welcome to Think Tech. We're raising public awareness about technology, energy, diversity, and globalization. This is the diversity part of that equation. The show is The Arts in Hawaii. I am your host, Donna Blanchard, proud managing director of Kumukuhua Theater. And today I am talking with Friston Ho'okano, who is a hair and makeup and jewelry designer here in Hawaii. And I can't wait to talk to him. But first, a few more things I need to say. We are coming to you from Pioneer Plaza in downtown Honolulu. We stream live on ustream.tv and Spreaker.com. You can check out our live shows as well as find our archived shows on thinktechhawaii.com. And if you would like to come down to the studio and join us, or if you have any suggestions for people you would like to see on the shows, you can tweet ThinkTechHI. You can also ask questions there for the live shows. And you can also email j@thinktechhawaii.com. Okay, now to my guest. Friston Ho'okano is a hair, makeup, and wig designer, costume designer at Kumukuhua Theater, hair, makeup, and wig designer at Diamond Head Theater, and designer and owner at Steampunk Jewelry Designs by Friston. Welcome to the show, Friston.
Hey, Donna.
I'm so happy to have you here.
Nice to be here, thank you.
I have been trying to schedule you, as you know, for almost since I started this show last March, and I'm so glad. You have a very busy schedule.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is, and whatever pocket of time I had, I wanted to make sure that I reserved it for you. So, I said, please get me in January.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, because I start up a new show. Actually, next week we open a new show at Diamond Head Theater.
Yeah, so tell us about that show, what you're doing at Diamond Head now.
I'm wig designer, hair and makeup for the particular production, which is Diamond Head Theater's version of their play, because they're known for their big musicals. But there are some musical elements within the show. And it's sort of like a retro flashback 80s type of show, but it takes place in the UK. And I guess some people might remember the movie Stepping Out, starring Liza Minnelli. This is actually the real play, but it's based on a teacher who runs a tap class, and made out of there were some veteran dancers in there. Well, actually, just maybe one or two. The rest are brand new to the dance class or to the art form of tap. So just learning tap when you're middle age is a challenge in itself, and so you can imagine the hilarity about watching somebody learning how to tap.
Yeah.
And a great deal of our cast members didn't know how to tap.
Oh, perfect. Life imitating art.
Right. So
there.
it's for real. I mean, what you'll see them performing is they actually have to learn that from step one. And it's directed by John Rampage, choreographed by John Rampage, Diamond Head Theater.
Do they do a straight show once a year? Is that what they normally do?
It seems to be that way. They'll do like one play every season, and then the rest of the season is musicals, and so they have their opening. They usually open with something very big and close with something very big, and in between they'll throw in the play and something very new, maybe in between, or something on a smaller scale. There's scientific formulas that they know that what kind of play to put during the season.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of like what Kumu does too.
Yeah, we do, and we can't talk about it with anyone. Why we put those together.
Which is fine, because I enjoy seeing the new show like everybody else. So.
Yeah. And so what are you doing with the show? What's your job?
At Diamond Head Theater, well, I designed the wigs for a few characters, not as big a scale as I would do on bigger productions, where there was a production I did, Funny Girl, a couple of seasons back, where I had actually close to 70 wigs.
Oh, wow.
This one, I think I have only 4. So this is my vacation. Sort of, and but then I have to take each character though to design their look, how they wear their hair, because most of the ladies are, and there's one gentleman wearing their own hair. There are a couple of them where they need a specific look, so I had to design specific wigs for them, and one thing good about this production, the director knows what he wants as far as like the look for each character. There have been many shows where I have to help the director out to give him that vision. Like I see something, he may not see something, but this particular director I enjoyed, John Rampage. It's easy to work with him because he knows what his character should look. So when we sit down in our production meeting, he says, okay, I want the hair to be like this, or I want the color to be like that, or and the intensity of makeup. So he can just tell me, and I already kind of know what his vision is like, but I kick it up a notch. And then, so if I need to tone it down or add some more or whatever, he'll just tell me. But many times where I work with directors from Hawaii or from guest directors from the mainland, where they're not quite sure what they want, and which is my job to help, put into fruition, that look of the character. And of course, I have to read the script and figure out what this character is all about. So I have to find a backstory and imagine what that character looks like and try to put it, together. And the greatest thing is once the actor knows their lines or their dance steps or choreography and whatnot, once we get into hair and makeup and costume, is when they actually believe it. They say, oh, there she is, or there he is. And then for me, that's terrific, because it's like, that's my baby, It's I always knew what it's supposed to be like, but they needed to believe it by seeing the hair and the makeup and the costumes. And Karen Wolf is doing costumes for that show too.
Oh yeah.
At that minute, yeah.
And it's set in the 80s.
Yeah, we're gonna take it like late 80s. So a lot of us who kind of know what that means, big hair and fluorescent and chunky stuff and.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, okay.
Trust me, I know.
Yeah. So
I
it was
remember
easy
my
for me to
big white
design.
hoop earrings. Yeah.
So it was easy for me. I knew the look. I knew exactly what he wanted.
Yeah.
So.
How often? Okay, so first of all, let me say, how often does a director have that amount of? He wants to talk about color of hair, and he's already got an idea down to that.
Yeah, it's very rare to find a director that knows all that.
I would imagine.
Because like when we meet in our production meeting where we have all artists, technical people and whatnot that form the show, the director kind of relies on us to create something, to tell the story in our own profession. Like I'm in charge of hair and makeup, and and she's in charge of costume. Or in cases where I've done shows at Kumu, where I've had to take the overall look, which is costume, hair, and makeup. And oftentimes it's a contemporary piece. They have to look real people, or something back in the 20s, which I love, which has to do with this. It's turn of the century kind of deal, and I just love that era. 19th century, turn of the century, early 20th century costuming I like.
So something like contemporary, is that more? Do you feel more difficult?
It's actually harder to costume contemporary. So you really got to look at the character, and I relate the contemporary character to my own family or people that I know. So, I remember Auntie wearing this, or I remember Grandma wearing this, or I remember my high school friend, she used to wear her hair like this, or what guys used to wear in high school, or today, following today's trends. If the story is today, we have to make them look real and not just, they're wearing a costume and they're acting for us. They have to look like they just came off the street, literally, and they're telling their story.
In the right.
Yeah.
Here's what, I know you consider this, and I don't think it's broadly known, that within the character, there's not only the personality of that person, but there's the financial means of that person. So if this is 2014, maybe they're wearing 2012. clothing.
Yeah.
And that in any era, you have to consider that piece of the characters. How up to date can they be? What can they afford? What are they? We were just talking with one of the fashion professors last week on the show, and talking about the way in which we present ourselves, what we say about our body image. I mean, our internal mechanisms come out in the clothing. Do you consciously go through those
I
thoughts?
do, actually. Funny you should bring it up. There are a couple of cast members in, for example, Flowers of Hawaii, when I did, which we're taking to Maui. When I started not casting, but costuming the cast, I actually sat down and spoke with them. And I asked them, so how do you feel about your character? What do you see her wearing? You know, and because a lot of them they've studied the character, and they know what the character should be thinking and what should be wearing. So I kind of get feedback from them, and then and to see how comfortable they are in, like, maybe wearing something that's too young for their character, or too old for the character. But it's all based on what is put on print, what's on there. That we know it's this character, you know, and so, but yeah, it's contemporary, but what do you think? You know, I get into the brain and say, so help me out. What do you think she should be wearing? You know, and it's amazing how much they know already about their character.
Oh, yeah.
So I take that, and then I start looking for stuff. And in this case too, I also asked them, well, do you have something in your own wardrobe that you think your character might wear? You know, or just bring me something that you think, and then I'll look at it, see if the colors will work too, for their character. And I also want to make sure that the colors set the mood, what they're wearing, set the mood in the scene.
Right,
You know, so
and they have to look congruent with the other characters on the stage as well.
So it totally has to make sense with what they're wearing and with the character. You know, we have in Flowers of Hawaii, for example, again, we have set changes where, you know, the cast actually are part of the crew, but we didn't want them to wear their character's costume because it would be too distracting. So I said, well, let's just have them all in black, like crew blacks, but I want you all to decide what kind of black you're gonna wear. You know, kind of like stay in their character, but wear black, you know?
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, so, one of those things that just kind of happened, and it worked. And that way we focus on the upcoming scene, or what just finished.
Right.
You know, so to give like a period to that, you know, with that scene, and then it's like, oh, we're gonna start our next show, our next story, you know. But I didn't want the crew, which is the cast, you know, be distracted with their upcoming scene's costume. So I had them all in black.
So you helped them feel differently, and you know why? I think you're quite masterful, Friston, and that's why I wanted to stop. They go on. That's why I wanted to have you on so badly, because as an actor and as a director, I so value someone like you who can come in and further not only the look of the piece, but the feel of the piece as well. If you see a show that doesn't have good hair and makeup and costume, they may be able to get away with it. You may not be able to pinpoint, ooh, that's what's missing, but when it's there, again, you may not be able to say that's because that they had that costume change while they were acting as the crew in the show. We may not be able to, hit the nail on the head, but you do. I think you do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But then again, I don't want it to be distracting, you know, to like, ooh, what's she wearing? You know, oh, look at that hair. So, I mean, sometimes that's good because it's supposed to be, you know, like, ooh, what's she wearing? But I do want to stay true to the feeling of the author, you know, and when I read it, when I first read the play, you know, I play the movie in my mind and I see, you know, what they should be wearing or how they look, and I try.
Okay, we're going to take a break, but I want to come back to that. I
All
want to
right.
talk to you about how that's created in your mind.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to be back in just a moment. We're going to take a break. This is the Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series. Be right back.
I'm Hong Jiang, host for Asia in Review on Tuesdays.
And I'm David Day, host for Asian Review on Thursdays. Both of us broadcast our respective shows at 4 p.m.
And my topics tend to deal with questions related to environment, culture, history, and sometimes human rights.
And my shows tend to be on international business, foreign policy, geopolitics, and national security. And you can watch our shows live on the Think Tech website at thinktechhawaii.com.
And you can also watch us on YouTube or Olalo.
So come join us on Thursdays at 4 p.m. I'm David Day.
And on Tuesdays at 4 p.m., I'm Hong Jiang.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Hi, we're back and we're live. This is the Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series, coming to you live from Pioneer Plaza in downtown Honolulu. I'm talking with Friston Ho'okano, hair, makeup, costume, and jewelry designer. And let's go back to, okay, so you get the script. I think from my own perspective as an actor, I get a hold of a script, I'm going to audition for a piece, I think about the character to a certain extent, but I get cast in the show, and then I just pour over that script and think about very intently about my relationship to the other actors and my objectives and super objective and all of this. I'm not thinking about what I'm wearing. That's not my kuleana at that point in time. So when you take a script, let's talk about you read it the first time. Are things coming to you? Are you looking for things? Or how many times are you reading the script before that happens?
It's usually the first time around when I read a script. If it's a play or a musical that I've done before, I'm already familiar with it. But if it's brand new, if it's just released for rights for, I'm totally not familiar with it. I'd have to go, front to back. But while I'm reading the play, I'm already starting to put that play on the stage in my mind. So I'm looking, firstly, I'm looking outwards, appearance first. And then I don't get so deep yet into the character until, maybe later on. See, I tend to go to rehearsals. I don't just like design, take your measurements and design and then see you on opening night. I'm part of that process. I'd like to be part of that process where I'm actually, during my times between theaters, I will sit down and watch the rehearsal period. And then one of the reasons that I do that too is because I have to allow for quick changes, costume changes, and I need to figure out how much time is that character is going to get to change.
That's a whole nother piece if you're going to have someone underdress or, yeah.
There's one show that Lee Canaluna did a few years ago, The Great Kauai Train Robbery. Now, she never thought about this until I brought it up to her. I said, Lee, yours was one of the more difficult. I only did hair and makeup now, so I was only looking at their character. She had characters jumping 50 years apart in like split second. It's okay if it's a book, but when you put it on stage, it's like, now how am I gonna? I mean, there's only so much imagination that our audience have. Like, oh, why is he back? Oh, it's 50 years later. I don't want them to think about them. I want them to see that something happened.
Yeah.
So makeup-wise, so I have to do aging makeup, or if they start old and then they come back again young, I have to take that makeup off and get them ready to be like 20 years younger or something. So it's so my job really is to, as soon as they step on stage, that they're believable. I know what this, I kind of know this character, but I want to wait until to see what comes out of your mouth. But then I want the audience to believe their age or their character, or who, if they're rich or poor, or if they're supposed to be Japanese, when they're Filipino, or so the try to at least give them that hint of like, okay, this is the character in costume and makeup. Now you sit back and wait to see what they have to say. You
Yeah.
know? So I don't want them to think too much. I think nowadays our audience is too, especially if you're not a theater goer. And this is how I encourage, like people to go out and go see local theater. Because once you go out there, you get a feel as to what this thing is all about and why I love it so much. I've been doing it since 1989, and in some sort of fashion. But anyway, I want them to believe that this is the character and that they're getting ready to tell a story that's kind of awesome.
Have you ever acted?
I did, yeah. That's, I actually started in musical theater between the years of 1989 through, I like to say I retired in 2010. So I'm mostly a musical theater kind of kid, and I come from a music background, and I study dance and acting and everything. So
okay, so that helps a lot too. You have that perspective. There is something really magical that happens when, most actors will say that the acting is coming from within, and they're not relying on props or sets or costumes to bring about a character. But there is something really magical that happens when you take this character who is fully formed and then you clothe them appropriately. And it's undeniable. The clothing, along with the lights, and occasionally I've had a really wonderful sound designer who brought music in to underscore a monologue. When that starts happening, when it all works together, it is pretty magical.
And because I'm an actor, I still consider myself an actor. I still do it in the dressing room, I understand that you can't really rely on just the makeup alone, and I can talk to my actors because I'm an actor too, and a lot of times we chat about the character when I'm doing makeup on them and stuff, and we talk, or they share with me, and about their growth, and now, had I been just like a regular hair and makeup person, I'm just there to do the hair and makeup, period, that's it.
Yeah.
But we actually, I like to think I'm still there on stage with them, because we, my spirit is with them, and when we talk about it, I'm doing hair and makeup, we're talking about the character, or not, but it's because as an actor, I understand what they have to go through. As an actor, I understand what it takes to do quick changes, or what it takes to prep yourself before you get on stage. How it's important for the warm-up, and just as important as putting away your costume, getting ready for the next day.
Oh, yeah.
So had I been just a regular hair and makeup or a costumer, I wouldn't really relate to their world as much. I've already been there, so I understand their stress and how they feel, and I can be applying makeup on them. I can feel their stress. So that's when we start to talk, kind of have fun, and then just everything kind of releases. So another part of I like to think another part of my job too is to help the actors be their best and not have to worry about this,
Yeah.
and knowing that I'll be there for them. Although I don't have to, but I want to,
What a gift. What a gift that any theater gives their actors when they bring you into the team. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it's because you can see them at their best when they're not having to worry about, where's my socks?
Yeah.
Or do I have enough liner? Or do I need powder? That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, yes, sometimes I spoil them, but it's okay. Because I know I'm going to see their best work on stage.
Yeah. You spoiled me last year when we were in
I did.
Maui.
And we can do that again.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I should say that we take a show to, Kumukua tries to take at least one show to the Maui Arts and Cultural Center every year, and this year we're taking Lee Cataluna's Flowers of Hawaii. Last year we took Edward Sakamoto's Fishing for Wives, and not only is Friston with us to help the actors, but he helped me look nice before the show too. And there is your spirit does. You do infuse people with your spirit while you're working on them, and it does carry forward. There's something really nice when you don't have to worry about the way in which you are presenting yourself.
Yeah.
At least the, not necessarily the physical manifestation, but the physical
Yeah.
appearance
Yeah.
is taken care of.
It's, a lot of times, a lot of shows I've done where I'm just asked to maybe just design it and then maybe come in once a week or so to kind of do maintenance and stuff. But I kind of study the actor too, because a lot of actors that I know, for some reason, they're either off retirement, they're coming back on stage after a long hiatus, raising a family or what, and they don't pay attention to the skills of character makeup, hair and stuff. And things have changed, in the years as, how people look or how people apply stuff under, makeup and hair and stuff during the years and stuff. So a lot of the actors aren't comfortable doing their own. Some of them are really good, and those are the people I say, hey, this is the design, just maintain it. And then there's some that they'll take hours,
Yeah.
and where I can, be done with them in 10 minutes, because but I don't want them to have to worry about the makeup, So I'll kind of play by ear and see, if they're good enough, then great, maintain that. And otherwise, I'll be here for you when you need to. If you feel comfortable, then I'll wean away, So, but it's supposed to be a learning experience for them too, And we're community theater people, so we're not expected to get paid the big bucks and stuff. So we're doing it for love, right?
Right.
And every experience is an experience, and part of the theater experience is hair and makeup. You're not just putting on a costume and then just standing out there doing your lines.
How do you decide when to wig someone?
Period of the piece. If it's in the 20s, we definitely can't use hair today. We have to do something. A lot of the wigs that I use really are stuff that can go back from the 70s on through to the late 1800s. Those periods I know I have to wig. So I can get away with maybe 80s, or if there's something outrageous or with color or some dramatic design, something punky or whatever, that's too difficult to do. Because I don't want the actor to fuss with their hair at all. I don't want them to go out and dye their hair or cut it extreme. Unless you really unless you really want to, and if you can wear that style on the street today, but I really don't want the actor to have to do that. It's easier for them to just wear a wig, and in most cases it's for the ladies, but lately I've been having to wig a lot of men because it's hard to do period hair, or to age somebody with just doing, the clown white and stuff under there's, or applying facial hair pieces too. So, yeah.
Okay, we're going to take another break. We'll be right back. I'm Donna Blanchard on the Arts in Hawaii, talking with Friston Ho'okano. We'll be right back.
We want to thank our underwriters.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Maui Electric on Maui and Hawaii Electric Light Company on Hawaii Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho is a senior executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company.
The High-Tech Development Corporation, the state's leading technology agency, attached to the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism.
Castle and Cook Hawaii, with a time-honored legacy that spans more than 160 years and revolves around its mission of investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state.
Hawaii Gas, formerly the Gas Company, a proponent of the Liquefied Natural Gas Initiative, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future.
Collateral Analytics, a Hawaii-based tech company empowering the real estate industry with greater and faster access to the tools and data they need to make better informed property investment decisions.
I'm Nicole Horry. Thanks so much for joining us on Think Tech.
I'm Maria Kashem. See you next time.
Hi, we're back. This is The Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series. I am your host, Donna Blanchard, proud managing director of Kahua Theater. And I am talking with Friston Ho'okano, who is a hair, makeup, and costume designer for Kahua Theater, as well as Diamond Head Theater. And he's also a jewelry designer. I want to say something real quick. We're going to talk about your jewelry, and we're going to get into some pictures in a moment. But first, I have to say that during the break, we were just talking about how you hadn't really thought before about the fact that your spirit goes out on stage with the actors. I think that is so cool. I think it is so rare that we as artists take time to really examine our processes. And that's one of the things that I love about this show is when we get to those moments when people say, oh yeah, sometimes things come out of your mouth and then you realize it's been in there all along. It just...
Because that's the truth.
It is.
It is, you know? So, you know, being that I was mentioning to Donna that, you know, part of me, my spirit, includes me in that character, you know. So because I'm like every show that I do, I'm like everybody's cheerleader.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of look like it as it is like a war. Like we're all going through the same thing. We're all going through this battle, and then, you know, depending on how we do during the run, because we all have to be connected, you know, spiritually too. Our energies have to be, you know, in sync, which is what we always do in the very beginning, like when we're doing warm-ups. There's always that warm-up, you know, to get everybody in sync, you know, not only, you know, mentally, but spiritually too, I think. And I take it my way where I start to work on people's hair, makeup, or even just ironing a dress. You know, it's like, okay, she needs to look nice tonight. You know, so yes, that's that bond, that spirit that I share with the actor. I'm not just somebody who's making them look pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about this book. Do you want to hold up the book so we can see the cover?
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so steampunk fashion, and you are in here with some of your designs.
I am. I'm the only one from Hawaii, and I think there are artists from all over the world, really, in here. And there's another book that's coming out that's going to be featuring steampunk jewelry. This particular book has, you know, just the whole fashion, the head to toe type of. They feature artists that specialize maybe in hats, or maybe corsets, or shirts, or dresses, and I tend to lean towards more on the accessories or jewelry. So they're having another book out specifically for steampunk jewelry. So same author, and it's coming out in February.
Oh,
Yeah, it's supposed
really
to be in
soon.
December, but they told me no, it's going to be in February now. So.
And when does, you know what, when did steampunk start happening? Because I don't think it was really on my radar until I moved here.
Okay, do you remember, this is as far back as like Bette Midler, the show the movie that she did, Beaches.
Yeah.
Okay, when she started off as a young actress, and one of her first shows that she got casted in was an industrial type of little play that she did. And then this was back in the 80s, right? Like early 80s or something. As far back as then, where the element of Victorian industrial era type of look was that fashion started to come out back then, but nobody knew really about it, that it actually went as far back as then. But the term steampunk really didn't come out until like maybe, I would say like the middle to late 90s,
Oh.
I think. But then there are people who are still learning about it, you know, with the term steampunk. And yeah, so basically when you break it down, steam being like the steam engine era, so that's like Victorian, so that'll be the latter part of the 1800s. So like that's where I take it, you know, like 1880s or so. And punk is to go beyond the boundary, but it's more science fiction. So it's how like modern, the things that we have in modern day times, if we were to flash back to Victorian era, how would we make things back then? You know, like how would we make, with the types of tools that they had and elements that they had that back then, how would we make things like a computer, you know, and or flight was one of the factors about like science fiction, travel, you know, traveling in air, you know, there were no planes, traveling underwater, there were no submarines, you know.
Oh, so how would they make it
time
look?
travel.
Not necessarily how would they make it work, but how would they envision that?
Yeah, so, you know, like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells.
That's what I think of, Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Right. So that's very, you would think, yeah. I mean, when they first made the movies, they made it, the costumes were very Victorian. Yeah, so we're taking Victorian elements and then just throwing in the modern what if, you know. So,
Okay.
So for me, I take like, in jewelry, I like things that have wings or things that fly. And so, and then taking the clockwork, or I love the inside of an old-fashioned clock, you know, a winding clock. We have all the gears, you know, the gear is an icon to things that are steampunk, and I take the elements and I design jewelry with them. And I work with brass a lot. I don't work with fine metals, so those are brasses like the poor man's gold, and things that are Victorian era kind of flavor. I try to collage things into my work and make it look interesting. And because I come from a floral background too, you know, and which is, you know, strong design, which I've been doing for like 20 years, and you know, stopped doing that in 2009. I take my design skills and taking, you know, brass pieces and crystals, and you know, develop my. I started off just doing brooches, and then I got into tie tacks, you know, and you know, pins for hats and bracelets, even, you know, leather pieces too. I've been trying to work small types, you know.
Let's look at some of the pictures, and I just have a few pictures. These are actually from the book. So this first one is a
So the
brooch.
top piece is a brooch. It can be a brooch to wear in a lapel, or you can wear it as a tie pin. And the one below, you know, that it celebrates, you know, time, and it kind of has a Persian kind of feel. You know, there's a sword in there too. So that's a brooch. So they can wear it on their lapel. You know, there are a lot of cosplay players, you know, that go to conventions and they dress steampunk, and they like to buy my stuff and wear them as part of their outfit.
Yeah, your stuff is very reasonably priced.
Yeah, as it should be, I think. There are a lot of artists out there who really overcharge.
Yeah.
And, you know, it works. I mean, I don't like to overcharge, you know.
And we should say your stuff is available on Etsy.
Yeah, Etsy.com. You can find me as designs by Friston.etsy.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, can we take a look at another one? It's this.
Okay, I kind of have a interest in Indian stuff too, like Bollywood, and so this is kind of like celebrating the elephant god Ganesha, and I put a little story behind this piece, and it's kind of like where you're I don't know how to explain this, but there's a fleet of planes, and you're part of the that troop, and it's like it's celebrating this secret group, like the airmen of Ganesha.
Oh, there's a lot of. Do you get a story with your pieces?
Sometimes I do. You know, I have a lady friend. She's an author, and she writes stuff like that, and we oftentimes throw things to back forth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm really sorry. We have to go to another break. We'll be we'll be right back.
Aloha, I'm Nicole Horry for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaii Foreign Trade Zone No. 9 has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBET, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone's mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Nicole Horry. Mahalo.
Hi, we're back with the Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series. I am your host, Donna Blanchard, talking with Friston Ho'okano. And we've just got a little bit of time here in this last segment, so we're going to look at the last two pictures. And as we go into these, Friston, when we were talking about how you feel like there's a story behind these pieces, and that in connection with when you spend time with the actors and a little bit of your spirit goes on stage.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a little bit of your spirit
Absolutely.
is in these?
I think every piece that I design has a story, and I'm not just slapping things together and calling it, hey, this is jewelry, this is steampunk jewelry. No, each piece that I make has a story behind it, and there's a reason for placement and color,
Oh yeah.
which has a lot to do with my design background. There are a lot of designers who call themselves steampunk jewelry designers who just slap things together and call it steampunk. There should be a reason why things are placed, colors that you use, and in what manner you, in how you wear it.
How you wear.
Yeah.
Okay, so this piece, what can we
So that's
say
a
about this?
leather bracelet. I have a leather worker who makes those leather bands for me in different colors. I call this the. It's like its own mini time machine.
Yeah.
Where you can go back or forward in your own. So it's movable. You can actually, turn those dials, and it's just, and it has a very Victorian feel with the scroll work, brass pieces, and the gears, and it's like your own mini time machine on your little bracelet there.
I love it.
Yeah.
And what's the next one there, Ian? Sorry, I didn't give him a lot of time. This one's a little blurry. I apologize. That was me taking that photo. But okay, so this is a ring that has watch components
Right.
and wings.
Yeah. So again, celebrating flight, and what I have in the center, which I'm actually wearing right now, something that's similar. I took an old timepiece, added some crystals on there, and some brass wings to a scroll work ring band, which is adjustable. I should be making more of these because these are very popular, but right now I'm just so busy.
Yeah, you're busy. Thank you, Ian. You're busy with, you've got a lot of different things going on, and I'm always intrigued to find out what brought you into working on the steampunk jewelry. You've been involved in theater for a long time, and design, and that visual acuity is a part of who you are, so I understand that step.
Mm-hmm.
But what is behind the leap into this jewelry?
I think I've always tinkered with jewelry for a long time, and I never actually sold them. I used to just make them for friends, and as far back as I guess early 90s, I remember making something for a friend of mine, and which he still has. And at that time it was kind of a steampunk flair, which I didn't know it was called steampunk at that time. And but I always kind of tinkered with jewelry, mostly brooches and pins. And I guess because when I was in the 80s with the new wave bands and stuff, we all had pins all over the place, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I decided at the time to make my own, and then it just kind of drifted, to where I started working with brass and other elements. But I think the like for things, my liking things Victorian of that era, I love so much. I guess it has a lot to do with, I can remember as far back as the 4th grade, going on a tour to Iolani Palace and seeing all the intricate design work on the frames, or on the door, or on the window pane, and how that as a young artist, that I was really attracted to that because we knew that somebody made that. Somebody took pride in making that spoon, or that key or that lock with that fancy design. So I kind of had an eye already for things Victorian. And then, as I gotten older and stuff, and then this thing came, steampunk fashion. Steampunk, the term steampunk, there's a name for it, So, and then taking the science fiction element, there's some movies out there that people have seen, but they don't know that it's steampunk.
Yeah.
Like Sherlock Holmes, the movies, and the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, those kind of movies that actually celebrate, steampunk. Really, it's Victorian science fiction.
That's really cool that it's always appealed to you, even so young, 9, 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. For you to, I think it's very cool anytime someone ends up being able to spend a lot of time in something that they love and for which they have a natural proclivity, but also you have a can-do attitude of saying, oh, you need me to age someone and then reverse age them all within a 15-minute scene. Okay, let's figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Let's figure out. I think it would be cool to make a bracelet that has watch components that you can move, but it's going to still hold up. So let's figure out how we're going to do that.
Right, that's what it is you're tinkering with jewelry, you're tinkering with makeup, and I don't know everything about hair and makeup. I'm still learning, but I surprise myself sometimes as to wow, this came out pretty nice. I hope you like it, So it's tinkering, it's just kind of fooling around and putting something into what you really love to do. You'd be amazed as to the kind of returns will come back to you. This is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And then I said this to Stephanie.
Stephanie Keiko Kong.
Yes, yeah. And I told her, if you continue to do what you love to do, just sit back and wait for the blessings to come. So, and I started to focus like that since 2008, I think. And a lot of times I don't think about getting something back in return. I just do whatever I want to do. I'm having fun. I'm doing that theater. Oh, I'm having fun there. I'm doing my jewelry. I'm having fun. And before you know it, things come. I don't wait for them. They just come. And I'm very, very blessed, to be doing something that I really love to do and to continue. Sometimes I have to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said no to me for
I did.
months. I know you have to say it sometimes.
Well, you know why?
I know.
Yeah.
I completely understand.
Yeah. So.
And I also believe that if you're doing something that you don't love,
Yeah.
you're keeping it from someone who may love it.
Yeah. True, because I'm gonna credit my friend Kevin Yoneda. We went to high school together, and he works for Disney for like 30-something years. He does promo and marketing for Disney, and he was the one that told me, Friston, your steampunk jewelry is kind of cool. I bet you people would like them. You should sell them. I go, what? So he told me about Etsy, and it started from there, and it's going on like 3 years. I'm able to do full time on Etsy, and I've touched. I know I've gotten the attention of over 90 countries. I have right now owners of my jewelry that come from over 35 countries, and so that's a couple thousand pieces that are out there with new homes, originated from Hawaii.
That's you.
Yeah, and and people in Hawaii are still kind of learning. There is a steampunk community here in Hawaii, but like all things Hawaii, it takes a little while for us to get our act together.
Well, hey, I came from the Chicago area and I didn't know about it until it wasn't on my radar. And I
Yeah.
would say, well, I'll go back and watch Beaches and look for it, but that movie
Yeah.
makes me cry, so that's not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Well, next time you watch Beaches, that segment, it's totally steampunk.
I won't be able to
It
see it
is.
through the tears in my
Oh.
eyes because the movie makes me cry. Just think about it. No,
Yeah.
I can't. But that is fascinating that it's been around that long.
Industry is the name of that song. I love that song from Beaches. So it's,
Okay.
Yeah, so you can just go on YouTube. And,
I'll just YouTube it.
Yeah, Industry. Or if you forget, I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. So we're gonna. Any last thoughts that you'd like to throw in? What's the name of the book that's coming out in February?
It's called Steampunk Jewelry. So it's by the same authors and from Graffito. They're actually from the UK.
Oh.
Yeah, and they've been following my work on Etsy, and they asked me again a few months ago, say, hey, we're doing another book again. So but they want to focus on
Nice.
jewelry.
And it's perfect that they have you in there. I have to wrap up.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being
Thanks,
here,
Donna.
Friston. It has been such a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to our trip to Maui.
Yes.
Okay, now I
she'll
have
be
to
all
make
pretty.
things. He'll make
I mean,
me
she's already
beautiful.
pretty, but
Yeah, but he'll make me 10 years younger pretty. Okay, we're out of time. I have to wrap up. I'm Donna Blanchard of Kumukuhoi Theater. This is the Arts in Hawaii on the Think Tech Hawaii digital series. I would like to thank you for being here. Thank Ian Davidson, who is in my ear, Chrissy Goffigan, who handles all of our social media, and Jay Fidel, who somehow manages to put us all together. To check out previous broadcasts, remember, go to thinktechhawaii.com, and we will see you next week. Bye.